I am certainly guessing that this is your favorite night of the week, favorite time slot of the week, 7 o'clock Eastern time, each and every week now for a 58th consecutive week, talking Florida State football or something closely related to Florida State football or college football. That has become very blurred here in the last few months, unfortunately, but we have to address what we need to address, and we do that each and every week with Jason Parker from NBC6, Logan Robinson hopefully on his way, maybe Big James Coleman, possibly, but we know we've got you, Jason.
I'm just going to guarantee you something right now. Over the next hour, somebody, whether it's you, MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, whether it's one of our many viewers here, whether one of it's our many followers on social media, somebody's going to get pissed at me before the end of tonight.
Oh, somebody?
At least one.
When has this not happened? Are we including the live chat?
No, there was 1 week, I think it was when I first broke my arm. I think there was a lot of sympathy out there. So there's been a couple weeks where I've been doing well. But
is the arm completely back to normal?
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's been a few months now, but yeah, it should be.
Okay.
Yeah. But thank you for
that. Good to see that.
Thank you for asking, Mark Rogers. You're a sweetheart.
All right. So we've got one personnel move. We'll get that out of the way. It's a bit minor, but still needs to be noted that Anthony Grant in the 2018 class.
Correct. He was a freshman who came in. He's from Buford, Georgia, running back, signed 2018 class. He redshirted in 2019, so it's a loss of a redshirt sophomore, technically. He ran the ball a total of 5 times in 2018, and he was the leading kick returner with a whopping 11 kick returns in 12 games. Yeah, you do the math on that one there. So it's, once again, you hit the nail on the head, Mark. It's not an end-of-the-world loss. It's not something that's going to make or break any of the games in the coming season. It's more of a depth chart question. And when you lose Cam Akers already, there's going to be those questions at running back. He was probably not going to see a hell of a lot of playing time, at least in the start, at least in the West Virginia game, probably up through the Boise State game. So does it suck to lose a player? Yes. Is it the end of the world? No. And I don't think head coach Mike Norvell, offensive coordinator Kenny Dillingham, or anyone else in the locker room is really upset at this much of a loss.
Now, see, at some point in everybody's college career, they obviously have to produce on the field to show how worthy they are of having certain status on the team. But early in the career, it's always interesting to go back and see where that particular player was rated before they get a huge opportunity to see what the scouts and the coaches felt were their ceiling. So for one, Anthony Grant, 17th rated running back in the country. So pretty highly valued there in the 2018 class, top 400 player according to 247 Sports Composite. So there is some talent there.
He was a good player. I guess the question is going to be, where does he go from here? Obviously, he's a Georgia native, so is he going to look back, maybe to school like a Georgia Southern? Does he try to go to a Georgia or Georgia Tech? At this point, it's unknown where he's going to go. Does he go junior college level like Jaron Williams, the former Miami quarterback, did this past week? That's going to be the question right here. So I think the bigger loss is going to be less bodies in practice to maybe challenge someone like Kalen LeBourne, challenge some of the other running backs coming in. But as far as mass production for the 2020 season, no major loss with Anthony Grant leaving. But you know what we did lose? We lost 3.5 minutes without big game James Coleman live from somewhere inside a house in Jacksonville, inside a room, an office building, somewhere. Big game James.
Or if you want to look at the glass half full like I do, it would be that we get maybe up to 56 minutes with big game James Coleman.
I'm just more worried the fact that James and Logan didn't know that we do this at 7 o'clock. I mean,
I've been trying. Can y'all hear me?
We hear you.
Okay. I've been trying. Okay. I was trying to do it from a laptop so I could have really good speaker connection and microphone to be professional as you guys. But my computer decided that it doesn't want to act right, even though it is a geriatric laptop.
So your phone doesn't act right, your computer doesn't act right. Do we need to start a GoFundMe to get you some more technology?
I got a good phone now, so that's what I'm talking to y'all on now. So
I was just going to say, James, you know what? Based on my return, we all see something a little bit different, but based on my return, James has the clearest picture by far of the three of us.
Oh, absolutely.
You do. It's a good look.
The phone works like my brother-in-law is a whiz when it comes to electronics. And he's been trying to tell me you got to use the phone more, but I can't use the microphone, so it's like a trade-off. So I don't know.
While you have a good return for us, Anthony Grant won't be returning to Florida State football. What are your thoughts on that move this past week with Anthony Grant leaving the program?
you know, the writing was on the wall for him anyway. And I don't want to kick a kid while he's down. But the reality is this: when you see a transfer come in, you see a JUCO guy come in, you've got Layburn coming in. I'm not coming in, still there, as well as Tuafali. And you saw what they were trying to recruit before. It's really just like it's the best thing for everybody.
So, Jason, let us know off the top of the show that based on some of the news that we have to cover today, that there will most undoubtedly be somebody somewhere, probably multiple people, dozens of people that are going to be pissed at him by the end of the hour, James.
I mean,
so
Kyle Pickett already said he's pissed at me.
Yeah, there we go. Already pissed at Jason before anything came out of your mouth.
Why, Kyle? What? Just because I don't want to vote for Mark Rogers? I mean, God, jeez.
So we got Anthony Grant out of the program, and as we noted, 17th rated running back when he came out of high school. But you got to produce on the field at some point, but he only had the one opportunity on the field, but not a huge loss for this team. Okay, we can all move on from there. So now we've got the big issue of the week. The big issue of the week would be Doak Campbell Stadium.
Sorry.
Does that mean which James Coleman do we want here?
James, we got you on two. What? We had you on a computer. We had you on the phone there for a second.
All right. Are we good?
Yeah, we got you.
All right, cool. Yeah, this is the one. This is the one that I wanted. Now I can share this on Facebook, Mark.
Now that we've passed the technical difficulty.
Oh, that's what we want, James. We always want you to share this on Facebook because that has some pretty significant returns.
See, folks, you're seeing all the things that we usually do before the show, but now you're getting an up-close look at what happens here with Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football.
And speaking of setting up a decent-looking shot, you guys see what my issue is here. I'm just too lazy to move around the set, and I got to put some blinds up and do some things because this is the one time during the day when I really shouldn't be sitting here, as you can see. But that's what we've got.
Quit delaying the inevitable, Mark. Let's get to it.
Doak Campbell Stadium. Revered stadium in college football, named after two gentlemen that I believe after one.
Yeah,
after
one.
Two.
Yeah. One.
I know little about this. I just know what controversy is.
President Doak S. Campbell.
Essentially, Doak Campbell was the president of what was the Florida State College for Women, and in 1947 became coeducational and became Florida State University. He was very, very influential in getting the program to start a football team, start athletic competitions. So when the stadium opened on October 7th, 1950, it was named after him to honor him. What people didn't want to realize at the time is that about 7 years after that stadium opened, he would be very controversial in efforts to try to keep the school, how should I put this nicely, to keep James out of Florida State University, to keep people who look like James out of Florida State University. He canceled several meetings when it was found out that faculty from the nearby Florida A&M were going to be there. He tried to keep the student newspaper, the Florida Flambeau, from posting articles that would promote integration of the school. Now, obviously, Florida State would still not integrate for about another 10 years after that. But these are the facts that even I, growing up as a Florida State fan, my parents graduated from FSU, I knew about these facts, but I didn't know how much until afterwards. It's time, and this isn't going to be sexy for a lot of Florida State fans. There's a lot of Florida State fans, the old school fans, the certain type of fans who are opposed to possible change, but it's time. It has been time for a while. And once again, Doak Campbell had his views. Doak Campbell did his job as president of Florida State University. He had his views. He had his opinion. There's a lot of people who had the same views in 1957. And so there are a lot of people who didn't see a problem with it. In 2020, the views are a huge problem. In 2020, what he had to say and what his efforts to try to keep the school from integrating were wrong. And it's time we need to stay up, as much as it hurts, as much as it's our alma mater, it's my alma mater, it's James's alma mater. We need to be honest. It is time to take his name off the stadium. It's been time for a long while. Now, here's where there's a lot of push to just take it off and put Bobby Bowden, the name of the field. It's currently Doak S. Campbell Stadium at Bobby Bowden Field. The thought is, hey, just move Bobby Bowden's name to the stadium and just call it Bobby Bowden Stadium. James obviously has a personal interest in this because he played for Coach Bowden for 4 seasons. So before we get to James on that, I'm going to say why it shouldn't. It shouldn't be named after Bobby Bowden. Yes, he is honestly the biggest name that is the most influential name with the Florida State program. Does he deserve the name of the stadium after his 34 years, 2 national titles, countless ACC titles, all the countless moments he did in making Florida State football the national name it is? Sure, I completely understand that. The problem is Bobby Bowden was born in 1929 in Alabama. For all we know, Bobby Bowden has said the N-word before. For all we know, Bobby Bowden has had racist thoughts before. Now, it wasn't like Doak Campbell where we have documented proof that it was said, but we don't know that. To me, I wouldn't have a problem. Now, if it ever does become Bobby Bowden Stadium, hold on, Mark. Head up, Mark. Mark, head up. Look at me, buddy. Mark, stay with me, buddy.
Okay.
Would I have a problem with its name Bobby Bowden Stadium? No, absolutely not. But the problem is the constantly naming stuff after people, because it is a slippery slope. You never know. For all we know, James Coleman has said racist, anti-Semitic, anti against certain ethnic groups before. Mark Rogers could have said it. Jason Parker could have said it. This is the danger of constantly naming things after people. That being said, if the only option is just moving Bobby Bowden's name up, I would not have a problem with it.
So what you're telling me is that, and telling everyone, is that you are not for naming anything after anyone ever. That's the bar that you've just set.
I'm saying that this is the danger of naming it. Like I said, if it becomes Bobby Bowden
Something can be discovered.
Yep. If it becomes Bobby Bowden Stadium, I don't have a problem with it because of what he did as the football coach for 34 seasons at Florida State. What I'm saying is it's a slippery slope. That if we are going to take Doak Campbell's name off of the stadium, which we should, then we need to do a deep dive. And for people who are saying we should name it the field after Mickey Andrews, or we should name it after this person and this person, unless you know for a fact that it's not the same issues as why we're taking off Doak Campbell's name, that's the problem you're going to run into. That's just my opinion. James obviously has a personal tie towards Coach Bowden. What are your thoughts on the subject?
I mean, here's the thing. Ain't nobody really asked for this. Like, we asked for policy. Like, any African American asked for like opportunity, like to either be in higher roles or be prepared and trained to be able to take on higher roles. So I want to make sure that everybody understands that first. This Florida Flambeau, or however you say it, article, a good friend of mine, Dr. Kendrick Scott. So I want to make sure everybody understands that. He's the guy who's taking the heat for it. And there's probably nobody better, because he's really good with those. As I joke, he's good with the words. Me, I'm probably going to try to reason with you I'm very much on my father's son. I want to reason with you for a few, and then after that, the fullback's going to kick in, and I'm just going to want to punch you. So, but Dr. Kendrick Scott does a really good job of making sure he can take on all of this stuff. But Jason Staples, I'm a white guy, was a walk-on at Florida State, actually brought this to everybody's attention back in December. And I remember when I read it and I saw it, and I was taken aback. But then I also realized that I really never knew anything about Doak Campbell besides it was the name. You could have told me that he was related to Campbell Soup, and I would have believed you. I came to Florida State because of Coach Bowden, and that's why I wanted to go to Florida State. Now, as a guy who's a history major, when I'm presented with new information, I have a few options. I can do more research, which I've tried. I can ignore it, or I can choose to do something about it. And the thing about when you name something after somebody, and actually even before I go into that, there's a guy who, when they were taking down Confederate statues, I run every morning, and when I run, I listen to this YouTube channel. Not Mark Rogers. I listen to you during the day when I'm alert, but it's this thing called biographics. I'm a history. I really enjoy all history, good, bad, and ugly. I can't get enough of it. And it just so happens that they're like biographics on General Robert E. Lee. And I honestly knew about his prowess when I've had to study military tactical stuff, but I've never really known about him as the man. And one of the things came at the end, and he talked about all of this stuff. He's like, he did not want to be, he didn't want statues. statues erected of him, and he didn't feel like any other Confederate soldiers or monuments. The only thing he said, don't mess with the graves, let the dead lie. But what he said was it leaves open wounds and it makes it hard to heal. He was adamant against it. But what do people do? They go and they erect these monuments of people. And I'm going to get to why it relates to dope. So when a lot of these schools, like Andrew Jackson High School in Jacksonville, Florida, was originally, I think, the first high school in Jacksonville. It was all white. Nathan B. Forrest High School was originally a white school. And Jeff Davis is the school, I believe, as well. That was a middle school here. Well, now these are all inner city areas. So the very fact that 1,000 black kids go to Andrew Jackson High School is not what Andrew Jackson stood for.
Or Nathan.
Now we've changed Nathan B. Forrest to Westside High School.
Oh, they did.
The very fact that Nathan B. Forrest High School, Nathan B. Forrest has a bunch of black kids. When he was one of his most notable military victories was literally murdering a surrendering all black regiment of the Union Army, and they said the blood in the river was so bloody it turned the river bright red. But African American kids, you feel in your head that it's okay for an African American kid to go to that. Now, we know that Doak Campbell was a known segregationist. Mm-hmm. He fought extremely hard to make sure that things didn't happen. This is what we know. I hear the pleas of his grandson. Don't get me wrong; mm-hmm. He's old, and there's a lot of stuff, and I'm not knocking that. I hope my grandchildren tell embellished stories of me. It reminds me of my granddaddy. Excuse me, my great granddaddy. I didn't know my granddaddy. My great granddaddy, Big Daddy. Mark, I kid you not, my great granddaddy might be a little bit darker than you. He could have passed. He was a proud black man, though. Was proud to be African American. And that's what I remember of my great grand. I don't know about all the other stuff. I don't know about the alcoholism. I don't know about a lot of the other stuff, but I know that man, what he did with that, and he was a deacon in his church. So I get where Doak Campbell's grandson is coming. Present me information that's different. Because what I do know is what you talked about. You said there was a conference, not letting them in, just a conference that he decided to stop because some teachers were coming to learn, to educate more. If he was a segregationist that understood the times and was like, you know what, this is what it is. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure FAMU has what they have. I'll be 100% all for it. That is the times. But when you're a segregationist and you're just that, then I mean, I'm not saying erase him. He was the president of Florida State, and he seems to be a good president for Florida State. He transitioned from an all-girls school to a male school. Good for that. Bravo. There's probably some place where all the pictures of the presidents go, and give a scholarship in his name if somebody wants to take it and do all those different things. But when your name is on the building, that says what you stand for. And unfortunately, it's not honoring him. So like anybody in the comments who's like, you're literally not honoring him. He says he was about segregation. So out of 85, what's 70% of that? Having 60 black boys run out of a tunnel is the exact with white people cheering is the exact opposite of what he lived for. His life's work. If I'm wrong, I love being wrong because I love history. Present the information that's different. But until then, this is what happens. Now, to the Bobby thing, I don't know. And I'm not going to go. I don't suggest we ever go look for stuff. We didn't look for this with Doak Campbell. It was presented, and it's the truth. It happened. If this would have happened with Bobby, we would have probably found out about this a long time ago. But Bobby by the field is dope. Keep that. Florida State's in a situation like a lot of other schools where we're trying to hopefully go back to competing for national titles. So we need money, and that requires money. So when people say, James, what do you believe? Highest bidder stadium at Bobby Bowden Field. And the reason why I say that, I'm here in Jacksonville, Florida. TIAA Bank signed a 10-year, $43 million deal. I am pretty sure that Florida State could get something similar to that. We have a football-only facility that we need to raise about $75 million for. You have literally raised over half of the money by that right there. And you know what a good damn president does? Fundraisers. You know what could actually honor the legacy of it better than having the very people that he fought vehemently to not have in raise money. So I get that honors what Doak Campbell stood for more than anything else. And it kind of comes, that's how it comes. Like if I go out and do something bad in my adulthood, then nobody else. Because in the other part of this too is what I learned interviewing the original 4 African-American players about a week ago. President Marshall didn't shy away from things like this. President Marshall was immediately after him. Maybe one person before him, but not very far. President Marshall saw the first African-American come on campus. Now that young man, he played at Florida State. Well, he never played, but he was on the football team, ended up dying. But President Marshall saw the original 4 come in. President Marshall saw the original 4 request for a black student union. President Marshall, instead of shying away, he gave them $250,000 in the 70s, in the early 70s, which who knows how much money. That's got to be it. Somebody's probably better at this than me. It's got to be close to $1 million or something like that. Maybe less.
It's more than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a shit ton of money now. I know that. But he gave them he said, and that was about 100 students. Mm-hmm. And he gave it for $250,000 to make sure these guys were able to have a place where they could meet and where they could do stuff. He saw protests. He listened. He did what was in the best interest of the university, similar to what Doak Campbell did. But he did the right thing. He was on the right side of history. And just like the Confederacy, we have got to stop honoring and loving on people who aren't on the right side of history. He was a president, old man, like he died unfortunately, but he was an older guy. So just how we talk about Bobby, possibly, I don't know, but I do know this: a significant portion of his life he spent writing periodicals, he spent writing legislation, he spent trying to push forward to see racial equality and racial relations. That's a president. Those are presidents. Again, I'm not here to say anything. Let the dead lie. I'm sure President Campbell was an amazing grandfather, was probably an amazing husband, probably an amazing father. I just don't want to be in places where people don't like me. And I'm sorry. If that makes me a snowflake, then cool. I'm the biggest damn snowflake you're gonna ever find. But most people don't like going places where they find out that they're not welcome. And
so absolutely, there's no question about. And the only thing I knew about this controversy was the obvious that, as I looked into it just a little bit, to see that he was for segregation. So obviously, he's trying to keep out people of color out of the university, regardless of when that was done in history. Let me phrase this the right way. Based on upbringing, based on environment, all those things, it's more understandable it happening in 1957 than in 2020, but it's also less understandable in 1957 than it would have been in 1875 or 65. So that can't be tolerated. Yes, it just doesn't represent any humanity, period. Those people that are of color and those people that support the Black community. So
that
all
being
of us,
said, I don't
especially
think it's going to change. That being said, I don't think it's going to change.
You don't think it's going to change? Really?
I think it will. I think here, and here's why. I wrote this when we were talking about this and doing whatnot. I was concerned that President John Thrasher, current president of Florida State University, that he wasn't going to act. I did not think that he was going to, for lack of a better term, have the fortitude, if you will, to be able to say, let's at least look into it. The fact that he's been looking into it, the fact that he's got the athletic director, David Coburn, looking into it right now, I think it will change because of that factor, number one, that somebody who is usually on the right of the political spectrum on this issue, which John Thrasher traditionally is, the fact that he's already coming out and talking about it gives it hope, number one. And number two, the fact that you have Bobby Bowden's name already on the field gives you that automatic out. Because, James, I love what you're saying about the sponsorship angle. I think right now in our current pandemic, with the way our economy is right now, I don't think you're going to find a lot of corporations willing to shell out big money at this point. Maybe in 2021, maybe when the economy gets better, sure, whatnot, Coca-Cola Field, Home Depot Field, SunTrust Field, whatever, that's fine. But I think right now you've got the option. You get rid of Doak Campbell's name. If at least for the 2020 season, you call it Bobby Bowden Field or Bobby Bowden Stadium. You've got the name right there. It's the easiest, it's the quickest solution, because the people who want to keep Doak Campbell's name will at least be satisfied that you've got Bobby Bowden's name, and the people who don't want Doak Campbell's name will also be satisfied. It's the quickest, simplest solution at this point right now.
The reason I had such a reaction that I did, Jason, when you mentioned Bobby Bowden and we don't know what he's said, we don't know what he's thought, was the same line of thinking that James brought up. It has been an extended period of time since Bobby Bowden held that post, 2008, 2009, and I would think that something would have happened. Now, if I find out, and this is me speaking personally, I'm not putting this judgment on anybody else of evaluating Bobby Bowden, but I think there's a difference in racist behavior versus doing something one time. It would not surprise me in any way if Bobby Bowden made a statement or said that word at some point in his life. But I, first of all, don't want to say that he ever did, because we don't know. So to me, it's innocent until proven guilty. So I'm assuming that Bobby Bowden had no racist inclinations in him at all. But if he showed one inkling of it back in 1962 one time, I'm not the type, and I say this hesitantly because I'm not in James' position as being the target of this. But for me, I'm not willing to just jump and damn people to hell based on something that was done 12 years ago or 13 years. I look at a body of work as a life, and what was this person all about, and what did they, what type of life did they lead, what contribution did they make as Bobby Bowden? He's the subject right now, to people like James and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other black athletes.
Do I think Bobby Bowden has earned the right to have that stadium named after him? Absolutely, 100%. I think the things he did for 30 plus years in Tallahassee, the things he did before as an assistant in the 1960s in Tallahassee with Florida State, I would once again give him all the credit in the world. All I was saying was that it opens a slippery slope.
Jason, to your credit, exactly. Even though I'm not really not arguing the other point. Yeah. I just had that reaction to the Bobby Bowden comment because I just don't want to be, as James put it, digging for things.
Right. There's only one situation.
Hey, real quick, James, I just wanted to state, to Jason's point, look at Joe Paterno. Look, had we been in this position to name something after him 2 years prior to when all that Sandusky stuff came out, Joe Paterno was an icon, not just in terms of his football coaching, but as a reputable, moral individual that did all the right things, seemingly, we thought. And no, he turned a deaf ear and eye to all that crap.
And before we get to James, you know what Bobby Bowden never did? He never showed up late, unlike Logan Robinson from Noel Game Day, who decided to show up a half an hour late here. Hey, Logan, what's up?
God forbid I help out my family.
Logan,
I know, God forbid.
Family. Look, if you've noticed, Jason has taken over the hosting. I don't know if that I signed something over to you or something.
You did. You did.
No. Hey, I am curious anytime there's any kind of financial conversion. So I like to know, okay, my money is worth this in Connecticut. If I moved to Houston or I moved here or there, it would be worth. So James, as soon as you said $250,000 in 1970, my wheels were spinning. Then I looked it up because I wanted to see how close I was. $1.7 million in 1970.
Right. He gave. Now I don't know how. Smart that was to give $1.7 million to a bunch of early. I know I would have blown it. Like we'd have had the most tricked out black student union in the history of any kind. I don't know if any other schools have that, but if it like the one thing I will say this, go to @BigGameJames_36. It's on Periscope or Fifth Quarter YouTube and listen to those guys talk. Their stories was incredible. And again, I don't know much about President Marshall's like real thoughts and things like that, but the climate that he did allow for what you expect to see from a college. Like, you go to college to learn. You go to college to experience different things. And I think that's kind of what I think that was dope. So, I mean, that's just me. But at the end of the day, I just want to play football. But I want to play football. I don't want to play football around people who probably never wanted me to play football. So I'm sorry. I mean, again, that just makes sense. I mean, but to Bobby's, to the only thing that I've ever heard come close to Bobby has been guys who, I don't want to say disgruntled because that's the worst way to say it. It was probably more of a misunderstanding and a miscommunication. Bobby's interest is the preservation and making sure that Florida State football is in the best light when he coached. And had my teammate come back, we probably would have won at least the ACC, if not competed for another national championship that year, because we did it without him, with very little offense. But when he went into that meeting, it wasn't as good as what he thought, and it was a really bad time in his life. I think his father had just passed, so that would be the only thing that I believe. But outside of that, there's some political differences I have with Coach Bowden. But as far as that man goes, I will go interview that man twice a year, or as many times as I go to Tallahassee. I love seeing Coach Bowden. Coach Bowden and Mickey Andrews, I probably see more than I see my mom when I go back home.
Can I just say something really quickly? Because we're putting up a lot of comments here from the Clemson kid, Kyle Pickett, just the ones that fit the lefties' views. I don't give a damn, because odds are Doak Campbell was probably a registered Democrat, which I am. Odds are, because the Democratic Party ran the South in the time period of the 1940s and 1950s. And yes, the old Democratic Party was a racist party. I will be the first person to admit it. That changed in 1964 when President Lyndon Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act.
That's debatable.
Go ahead. It's documented history, but let's continue. And Clemson kids sitting there saying, do we want to scrub everyone's history?
Y'all better watch out. Hey, y'all better watch out at Clemson, because you got some players that are really asking some stuff. So if I were you, I would go look in my own mirror and brush my own teeth before I start telling other people they breath stink.
This has nothing to do with politics. This has to do with what is right or wrong. Doak Campbell had the wrong approach. Doak Campbell, to use what James Coleman said, Doak Campbell was on the wrong side of this issue. Doak Campbell does not deserve to have his name on a stadium that will be on national TV and will be said multiple times when Florida State plays Clemson, when Florida State plays Florida, when Florida State plays Pitt, when Florida State plays Wake Forest. That's why there will be 6 times this season that Florida State will be playing on either national television or the ACC network. That's a fact. That means that those are 6 times that the national country is going to hear the name Doak Campbell. He has not earned that right because he was on the wrong side of the issue. And I don't give a damn if he was Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green Party, Jewish, Catholic, Baptist, whatever. He was on the wrong side of the issue. His name needs to be taken off the stadium.
What I'm interested in, what James pointed out, and I'll have to look some of this up, is he outlined some of the achievements of President Marshall. So he must have been the president sometime in the late 60s.
He was the president of the 60s and the early 70s, and he was also a registered Republican. I will once again give him credit. He was a conservative politician. So once again, it has nothing to do with the politics. It has to do with the right or wrong.
Absolutely. So what I'm interested in there is that so in this day and age and in this climate right now, the name change would be embraced by some, would be pushed back on others. Then you would have this slice of people in the middle who either don't care or they're going to be swayed by public opinion because they don't have enough of a strong backbone one way or the other. But public opinion is now leaning favorably in a good way toward tearing down of a lot of these insensitive, offensive names and so forth. So what leads me to the comment I'm about to make about this President Marshall, which I know nothing about him, is that he was doing that against the current the other way at the time that he was doing it. So it speaks a lot to his integrity, it sounds like, at a time when you would have had those opposed to segregation, those in favor of segregation, but then that slice in the middle that probably don't care or didn't have much of a backbone would be leaning with the segregation because that was the general mainstream thought. So for him to go against that, I think speaks to his integrity. It sounds like.
In the late 60s and early 70s, you can see like the document history of Florida State, where it turned from just a school in the Panhandle where kids from like North Florida, Jacksonville, South Georgia all went to school to. It kind of turned into, I don't want to say the Berkeley of the East, but it kind of was a little bit more the open-minded. Florida became more of the University of Florida became more and we could start on the University of Florida. There's plenty of names on their buildings and their stadiums and their arenas that we can talk about if we want to knock on them. So any Gator fan who wants to talk smack, you need to be careful about Ben Hill Griffin Stadium and the Stephen O'Connell Center. But at that time when Marshall took over in the late 60s and the early 70s, Florida State kind of went a little bit more to where, yes, there was more of a freedom of expression, more of an allowing, a man from New York and a woman from Miami could come, and then years later they produced this baby boy right here. And at this point right now, Logan is going, what the hell did I sign up for tonight? He's like,
I was thinking the same thing. Logan's, we are punishing you, Logan.
It is a free history lesson. I feel like I just got my pen and paper, but I'm actually taking notes. I'm learning right now. I feel like I'm already in class right now. Is fall here yet? Jeez.
Logan, you're in Tallahassee though, but you're around it more. Everything. What are you hearing from around campus, and what are they saying about any potential name change?
Nothing much. I mean, the only thing that any name changing that was going on was I was told that Thrasher had a meeting with boosters, a big meeting yesterday, and then immediately after that, he put out a statement saying that they were going to let Coburn do his research and everything, and then come to a conclusion on what they want to do. But it's obviously, I think. In my opinion, it's always going to be called Doak. If I'm going to a game, I'm going to Doak. I'll meet you at Doak. That's just how it is kind of just going to come off of. And the name change, if that, the past is not a great thing whatsoever. I think it's the time that we're living in right now. A lot of things are being exposed. We were hearing stuff about Doak, like 2 years ago. It kind of got brought up on social media, I believe, and it kind of got put down, and we didn't hear about it again. But now, it's a whole movement across the country and the world, kind of exposing some bad things that shouldn't be established onto big monuments, stadiums, and things like that. Like Jason said, it goes on to national television, and you're in Doak Campbell Stadium. But now, what do you change it to? And Florida State does need some money. Do you let it? I don't know if you already discussed it, but do you let somebody buy it to put their name on it and you make a little bit of money off of it, or do you name it Mickey Andrews Stadium, or you give it to Bobby?
Here you go, James Coleman Stadium.
No, please don't do that. Not enough people like me. No. Like they'll be protests to take that down.
By the way, to answer New King God's comment, no, Miami doesn't have this problem because Miami doesn't have their own stadium. They actually have to pay a monthly rent for Hard Rock, Seminole Hard Rock Stadium, by the way. Just let you know that.
If we get James' name on the stadium, then
I
might get a free luxury box or something.
Most of them aren't even open for that though, because you have to pay for them. My station won't even pay for our box during Canes games.
So are we about to hit a whole reverse 2 with how this whole coronavirus thing is? Are we about to hit stage 2? Because I feel like, because Leon County was just hit today, just a few hours ago, that we will have to have our masks on. Is this stage 2, and we'll be in Atlanta and maybe?
No, I'm gonna sit back and let the three of you tell me how there's nothing to worry about. Go ahead. I'm just gonna sit back here and tell me how all is gonna be fine. Mark Rogers, all is gonna be fine. James Coleman, let MF these kids, let them play.
I didn't say everything was going to be fine. I just said Governor DeSantis said MFTK and let him play. That's all I said. Like I know the money is the only thing that moves, but it was funny because I dropped in our Discord like I think the fifth quarter. I was talking about President Thrasher. Actually, all the presidents of the public universities today had to present their COVID-19 plan for the fall semester to open it up to the Board of Governors. And President Thrasher basically said Like we're about to release in Tallahassee, we're about to have a mask thing. So I was choking fun because a lot of people are, again, kind of like the name change and other stuff. Like people are just will willingly fight anything, like just to fight it. Like I think people are so bored they'll just fight it, even though we know that this was coming. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I know more than anybody, whether they're lying to me or not. I put on the radio stations. I had a couple colleagues get COVID and get really sick. They said, if your ass want to work, get a COVID test, put a mask on when you're coming in. So you know what I did? I got a COVID test, which I did not like. I didn't get nose violated though. Guys, you can get blood work. You can get blood work, and it comes out about the same amount of time. I'm used to doing that. But I just put a mask on, and I just kept it moving. It's not about me. If it's about keeping me, this is how I know all lives matter is BS. It's because everybody who says all lives matter really fight wearing a damn mask. Mm-hmm. Like if all lives matter, you'd wear a damn mask just so Mima. But y'all done sacrifice Mima, and you done sacrifice your little damn kids. So I know people don't care, and that's a little tongue-in-cheek joke. But we still gonna play. Like based on what those players are, that's not going.
James has got his 12 season tickets purchased. He's going to try to purchase another 12 more so he can sell those. I got my 3. Logan's going to comp off his dad, so we're good to go.
Whoa. Yeah, no, we'll make it work. I promise, though, if we are there, I will make sure I'm social distancing from people. I will not be going to any parties or anything. I don't even think we're going to have fun. I mean, the whole idea that the university has put together is one of the silliest things I've ever seen. So you're going to try to limit classes down from big classes, where you're still going to be close to one another, and then like just go back to online and run it through the fall. I know kids need to party and do all this crap. I've lived here my whole life, so I don't give a damn what we're doing. But I really don't want to be in a class where I'm still going to be around 30 people close, back to back, blah, 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 with them side by side. I don't understand it. Just take me online. If I have the option to go online, bring it to me any day of the week, because I'm a nerd anyways, and let me just sit on my laptop all day.
You went to a party last week after the show. You were bragging about how you had to leave to go get drunk at a party.
I didn't say I had to get drunk. That was number one. I'm going to sip on some drinks.
They could have been practicing social distancing. You don't know that, Chief.
That's different. The hard part is this, and this is where the Tampa Bay Times did a great article about what schools, and like they're trying to make kids sign liability waivers, and basically the futility of that, because it's impossible to say that you did everything to protect the kids. It's and the kids aren't going to stay still. There were a bunch of guys at a party this past weekend that probably got it. That's why Tallahassee had a spike. LSU, most of their players got it because they were in a a lot of players went to a party and there was a spike. What we know the numbers, and the vast majority of these guys are asymptomatic and they recover fast, like the flu. That being said, all it takes is one person who has an underlying symptom. And unfortunately, that's the only thing that's going to make us give pause. Is who is going to be the martyr? Who's going to be the first person that whose kid is going to have to pass and sue the hell out of a university and get a stadium named after them, because they're going to get generational wealth, because
that'll take care of that issue.
There's no way, and then for people, and there is precedent when it comes to this. And the reason why FSU didn't get the pants suit off of them when Twin died. Devon is the one that's alive, I believe. Is because nobody knew that sickle cell created the environment like that when you push yourself beyond the brink. So, but you found out, and it's still, there was a settlement, but that was that. Right now, what we know about COVID is what we don't know, and we know that it does mess you up with underlying conditions. And even if a kid doesn't die, but if I saw what a ventilator looks like, I thought the ventilator was a thing you put over your face. I didn't realize the ventilator, you're on your stomach and they put these things into your back. I'm not a doctor. I was an exercise science guy, but I don't know if your lung capacity gets back well enough to be an elite athlete once you get on that ventilator. So there are things that can completely transform your life that comes to this. That being said, I think that's what it's going to have to come to. You'll see guys quarantine. They've got complete dorm rooms on campus where all the sick folks will go, which will probably leave all other kind of stigmas on campus because people will know if I see you coming out of that dorm, you got the cooties. But I just don't. I know they're going to really try to push it, but when it became more real to me is when I saw Boise State, they set themselves back. Now, I also initial reaction because the COVID has discombobulated my sense of time. So I hear 2 weeks and I automatically like, oh crap, the season's over. Then I realized next week is the 4th of July. So like most people it's really 1 week off, and then the week of the 4th of July, most teams cease to stop practicing the 4th of July anyway.
Right, but remember, we're going to need a longer time, obviously, because we had no spring. I agree with James to an extent. Right now, I think we will have football. I think we're going to see a reduced amount of fans. I think you're going to see all this stuff. The problem is, and I hate to say it like this because we have these problems in South Florida, and like Logan said, in Leon County with the mask order today and whatnot, and the mask orders all over the state of Florida. People aren't taking this seriously enough. If it's inconvenient for you to have to wear a mask when you go out to eat until you sit down at your table, like James said, imagine how inconvenient it is if you have to be hooked up to a ventilator. It sucks. Yes, the test sucks. Take the test. This is the time where we can be safe, where we can at least try to help at least try and flatten the curve. Who knows if we're going to be successful or not, but at least try. The fact that there's so much pushback against it is the most annoying thing.
I know we're a lot larger than other countries, but look at like other countries that like just listened. Like we've been fighting it since the rumor that we would shut down. Yeah. Like if people would have just sat their ass down for 60 days, we might have sports. And then that's how I know people don't love sports like they say they do, because you couldn't. And like if we just really wanted it, it'll come back. But I do have my tickets. A bunch of people said that they were. I actually went and bought 2 more. And if the name changes and that pisses people off and they don't want to buy season tickets, just let me know. I've got enough money to buy 6 more season tickets right now currently. So like I love doing that, to be able to. It's my little subtle flex to be able to say I'll keep whatever we call it packed.
Maybe our numbers are so high just because we're testing so much. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that might be the problem.
Maybe.
Well, that does increase the numbers, of course, or the calculated numbers, not what's going on in reality, but it tracks it.
So maybe we should slow down the test, right, Mark?
That's not what I've promoted. No.
No, you have not. Everyone here is promoting safety except for Logan, who goes out and still parties in the middle of a pandemic. We still love you, Logan. You're quarantined in your house now, probably.
I go to the gym at least 4 times out of the week, and what I do is I don't get near anybody. I wash my hands up to my forearms, and I never touch my face or anything close to it. And I make sure I get my fingernails too. These are some of the cleanest fingernails I've ever had in probably 10 years.
But you know what you always do? You always hit that like button, right?
That is right.
Time. If you were here for a reason tonight, Logan, it's for right now.
At 7:55, and we're at, I think, below even 30 likes, 18 likes only, 77 people watching. Hit that like button if you haven't yet. It helps out everybody, and it helps out Mark a lot too, and helps the algorithm get the views up. And if you're on Facebook, hit the share button so then another Noel or one of your family members or FSU fans can come and listen to us talk every Tuesday night. We really appreciate that. We're already jumping up to 30 just that quickly. So yeah, definitely appreciate it. Now we're at 80 people watching. See, I think that's all we need to do. Just keep hitting that like button. I think minimum now is we need to. Minimum should always be 50, but the goal should be 75 to 100.
You and James are the sex appeal of the show. Mark and I are like the bass player and the drums. You guys are like the up front.
Jason,
JC Chazé.
Jason, categorize yourself. Leave me out of it. Categorize yourself.
I told you, you're the Chris Kirkpatrick. I'm the Joey Fatone. We're fine.
Again, according to Adonbe, I am the source for Florida State Stadium name change.
No.
I don't even have a suggestion. I don't know how I can be the source.
MarkRogersTV Stadium. I mean, I get it.
For all that I've done for Florida State football, absolutely.
Did you do your bold prediction?
Hold on, Clemson kid. There's been a spear back there for 58 weeks. What do you just Clemson? I need you to wake up. All right, your school's going to get put on probation. You're going to lose a couple titles as a result. Wake up.
That was a slight flex too by Jason to say that many weeks.
Well, no, it's in the corner there. We can see it's 58.
Redbeard, thank you so much for the super chat contribution.
Yes.
Very much appreciated. And now we will conclude the show unless we have anything else to talk about. I was waiting for Logan's 10-minute analysis of Anthony Grant's departure, but I guess we're going to have to miss that.
Oh, Jason, I'm sorry. Anthony Grant, talented, but got to get his stuff together.
Can we talk about the fact that he returned 11 kicks in a total of 12 games? Can we talk about that for one quick second?
Yeah, I thought he was going to be really.
Good God.
I thought he was going to be good.
I know.
I thought he was going to be a really, really, really good back. I thought he was going to give a run for if Corbin didn't come. I thought it'd be a great battle nonetheless between LeBourne and Grant, because I heard a lot of players. I talked with Jack West Patrick. We interviewed him on our podcast, and he said that you got to watch out for Anthony Grant. He's just got some special kind of future NFL talent in him, but he's got to figure out personal things though, and that's what sucks.
This one names drops Jack West Patrick. James names drops the first 4 African Americans on the football team. Like, seriously, guys, but you pick up your names here. Jesus.
We're just flexing out, I guess. I don't know. We're just trying to get good info out there to people that come on here every Tuesday.
I interviewed someone from another NBC station. Oh, okay.
Jason, you did interview Willie Taggart a little while ago. So
I interviewed Willie Taggart, and he wanted me to tell you simplicity. That's literally what he wanted to say. He wished you all the best. Here's me and Willie right there.
Oh, look at that.
Check that out.
The Boca Raton Bowl, the apropos named Boca Raton Bowl, held in Boca Raton.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
They said, never mind. I can't say that live. Never mind. I was going to say they had a name ready for the stadium, and also they're going to have the sidelines sponsored by Percocets, but I can't go along with the joke, but it was a good one. I saw.
Well, they were going to name it Jimbo Fisher Field, but then they'd have to change it for the 12th game since he wouldn't be there.
I knew you were going to come after me. Yeah. I was just saying, like Kendall Briles Field at Willie Taggart Stadium with the sideline sponsored by Percocet.
Yeah. Jason, of course, you wouldn't want to name it after Jimbo Fisher. You might win another national championship.
With a team you didn't recruit. Exactly. Go ahead. Moving on. We can do this all day, Mark. I've got all day. I'm off work tomorrow.
Sure we can.
All day.
That was my fault for saying anything. Willie Taggart. That was my fault. I should know this by now.
So what we are all waiting for at this point is for Jason to conclude the show by giving us his hot takes. We've been waiting like 10 weeks, or actually we haven't been waiting. Jason's been waiting to deliver them. The interest in them is tepid at best, but Jason, this is your time.
Cue the Nelly, because it is hot in her right now with the takes that you're about to get right now. So yeah, I went there. I know. I'm sorry. I'm really white. I get it. I understand. So first of all, here's what Florida State's going to do this season, and I'm a little pissed because ESPN stole my projections with their FBI, but I had this documented over a month ago. I had my predictions down here. So I think Florida State starts off the season 2-0. I think
if you say 8-4, I'm going to say that's not a hot take. Keep going.
No. The hot takes are the three rivals. We're going to get to that in a second, but I'm setting up where I'm getting to that point. I think Florida State wins their first 2 games. I think they beat West Virginia and Stanford. I think they go and lose to Boise State. And there's a whole reason. Florida State did want to cancel this game. That's why the game was initially moved to Jacksonville, was so they would have an excuse to then buy out this game and not have to travel to Idaho. That was the whole plan all along, and that got screwed over, so they're going to be heading out there. So I think they lose that one. I think they then beat NC State. I think they lose to Clemson. I think they beat Wake Forest, and then I think the game where Florida State's this year is against Louisville. It's on the road. After you beat Wake Forest, it's kind of that letdown game right there. So I think at that point they are they're 4-3 through the first 7 games of the season. People are starting to worry. From that point, I think Florida State goes on a little bit of a winning streak. I think they win 4 games. I think they beat Pitt. I think they beat Miami. I do think they come down here and beat Miami. I think they beat Boston College, and I think they beat Syracuse. Before, as much as I hate to say it, I do think Florida is going to beat Florida State this year. I know it's horrible, but I do think for a 3rd straight year, Florida State does fall to the Gators. So I think Florida State finishes with an 8-4 record. Now, for the 3 hot takes. Logan, are you writing this down?
Wait, I thought you were.
No.
I was wondering when the hot takes came.
Are you writing this down?
8-4 is not a hot take.
That's not a hot take. But are you writing down the 3 hot takes?
I'm writing them down, yeah.
Here we go. All right, so hot take number 1. The Florida Gators win 10 games, but still do not win the SEC East. I think it's the 3rd straight year that Florida has this great 10-win season. Everyone talks about how great they are, and they still don't make it to Atlanta. Because I think the surprise team in the SEC East this year is –
Don't say Tennessee.
All right, I won't say it because you said it. I think the Tennessee Volunteers, I think this is the 1 year, and then I think they get smoked by Alabama in the SEC championship.
Hey, I think this is going to be one of Logan's famous push-up challenges. If Tennessee does not win the SEC East, I think somebody's going to be doing some push-ups on the show.
That's fine.
How many, Logan? What do you think?
For him to do?
Yeah.
Wait, what the hell? I'm doing push-ups?
Yes, if Tennessee, if you can't pull through on your predictions, there's got to be some accountability here. Anybody can make predictions.
So here's what I will do.
I'm picking
hold on.
Iowa State to win the national championship. Let me throw it out there. There you go.
For each hot take that happens, Logan has to do 50 push-ups. For each hot take that doesn't happen, I will do 50 push-ups. So if anyone else but Tennessee wins the SEC East, I will do 50 push-ups.
You've got 3 hot takes, correct?
So that's 150.
Okay, you've got to go 2 out of 3. Otherwise, you're doing push-ups.
Right, that's fine. And I can accept that. I'm on the push-up rampage.
Well, let's hear how risky these hot takes are. Like, keep going.
I'm doing 200 in the morning now. I'm good now. So I think Florida wins 10 games. They keep thinking they're big dogs, and then they don't win the East.
So you got to get both of those portions of the hot take correct, that Florida does win 10 games and Tennessee wins the SEC East. Otherwise, you're doing 50 push-ups for that one.
That's fine. Okay. Second hot take.
Okay.
The Miami Hurricanes will Miami this year. And what I mean by that is I think Miami does start off the season 6-0. I think they have a schedule that is set up for them to start 6-0 and everyone's hyped up. Then I think they lose 4 straight games. I think they lose to North Carolina, Virginia, Florida State, obviously, and then at Virginia Tech. And then I think they win their final 2 games to go 8-4. So I think the hot take for Miami is that Miami will Miami. They will lose games they think they should win, and then they will not win. So I think Miami will go on a losing streak, just like they did in 2016, and then they will go down from there.
Does all of that have to be correct? They start 6-0, they go 6-4, then they go 2-0 to finish 8-4. Otherwise, the hot take's wrong.
The losing streak is the 4-game losing streak. I think they have a 4-game losing streak that completely destroys all their hopes and dreams. I can't believe you guys are writing this down. And the third hot take is for the first time.
I was falling asleep, but now there are push-ups on the line, so I'm keeping track. The first 3 minutes of this, I was nodding off.
I get it. It's fine.
I couldn't follow the, this was going to happen, then that was going to happen. Then they're playing Wake Forest, then they're going to play Boston College. They're going to,
The third hot
bottom
take.
line, 8-4. Okay, got it.
Third hot take for the first time since 2017. Clemson loses a regular season game. I think Clemson loses on the road to Notre Dame on November 7th.
Okay.
I think they go on the road to Notre Dame. I think it's the first real – that's a hot take. I know, James. I see it right there. But I do think that they are going to lose to Notre Dame. I don't think
they lose to Notre Dame. They're not going to the national title.
I don't think Notre Dame will win the title, but I think Notre Dame will win some decent games this season, and I think Clemson falls to them. By the way, on November 7th, I looked at the schedule. We play Miami. Notre Dame plays Clemson. Alabama plays LSU. There's a hell of a lot of games on that day. That's the day this year.
That is the day to stay at home and drink water.
Well, I'll be at the Florida State Miami game, so you get more.
I've been trying to get in the press. Miami has the worst press box in the history of all press boxes. I was so disappointed.
They moved over. We're over in the end zone now.
Did the food get better?
What's that?
I went from like we had like some at FSU. We had some kind of like because we were playing a lot of noon games for whatever reason. But we had some kind of Gouda grits with some like egg thing and stuff like that at FSU, treating people nice. I go to Miami thinking like, oh, okay, NFL stadium. I do Jags. Our food just doesn't taste any good, but at least they try. And I go down to Miami, and I kid you not, Lay's potato chips, which I have no problem with that because I like Lay's potato chips. Hot dogs.
That's the halftime. Is the hot dog?
Hot dog buns. I mean, and I was so upset. I was mad. I was like, I came. This is what I didn't tailgate for. I came here for this. Is this better food before the game?
It's better food before the game, but it's still crap. But it's less crap than it was before. So what we're going to do is you come down. We're going to go to a place called Esther's. It's a soul food kitchen on 185th and University, 27th, right there. We're going to go down there. That's where I go before the games, and I get usually the smothered chicken wings, where they take chicken wings, smother them in gravy and onions. I get the pigeon peas and rice, and I get the mac and cheese. That's usually what I get. So,
I mean, I got to go. Conk Heaven is where every time I go to Miami, my godbrother, who's a big Miami fan, he takes me to, I think it's Conk Heaven, somewhere in the hood. I don't know, but it's delicious. But anyways, though, I can't wait for the Miami game. Now my daughter's going to Southern now, so damn, she'll be in college. So that won't even.
Southern, which was too scared to play FAMU, they canceled their game with FAMU on September 12th this year.
Well, I mean, they figured they'll get it in when they go to the SWAC.
Now, Logan last week said he was going to come up with his 3 bold predictions. Let's see if Logan actually did his homework.
Well, see, now I didn't know we were going past 8 o'clock. I thought, since there was
last week.
You got to get it next week. You got to have something for next week's show.
Yeah, we got to have something for next week. I like that call right there.
That's a thing that I think it should be takes for everybody every week. So we got yours, and that created a really good discussion. So then hopefully maybe mine will create a good discussion. And there's bets on the line now. I think Mark's got it all written down.
So we got
the 5 takes here, Jason. Florida State's going to go 8-4. Miami's going to have a 4-game losing streak and go 8-4. Clemson's going to lose to Notre Dame. Florida's going to win 10 games, but not win the East because Tennessee is going to win the East.
That's 4. So it's the 4
Florida
hot
State,
takes.
Miami, Clemson, Florida, Tennessee.
No, you're including Florida State in the hot takes. The hot takes were about the rivals. So there's 200 push-ups on the line. Max 200 push-ups on the line. If I split 2, I break even, and there's no push-ups that are to be had.
And are you going to do these live? You're doing these. You have to do them live because we wouldn't be able to have evidence. So
yeah, we'll do it live. Basically, what I'll do is over here. If you look, I'm gonna have to do it on the kitchen counter, like lean up like that because of my back. I got back issues. But
you're going to get on the kitchen counter and do them?
I'm gonna do like leaning up against the kitchen counter right there.
Oh, no. You're going to be
before Logan. Cut him a break.
I'm gonna figure it out.
We're gonna have to bring the paramedics to stand by.
We're Pembroke Pines Fire Rescue will be on call. We'll do that.
We ain't doing like you're not just leaning against that.
Straight up against, chest completely even. Yes.
Yeah, we're not doing women's push-ups.
No, we're not doing Ohio State push-ups. We're doing real push-ups.
Sure.
How you doing?
Guys, I gotta get food, man.
I'm starving. I'm starving.
God, this
all right,
is
James.
The Florida show. Logan just Florida shows at 7 o'clock here this week.
I know. I had to watch my little brother, and I feel bad. I'm late, and I it sucks. There was supposed to be a commit today. Now it's going to happen tomorrow. I thought we were going to talk about a commit.
Don't play the family card. Don't play the family card.
Yeah, I know it. I had to. Little brother had to come first, and I thought I'd be on her at 7:15, but it ended up being 7:30, and that's just the way it is.
I happen to be a sucker for the family card.
As a Jewish child of a Jewish mother, I'm used to guilt trips, so I'm immune to a guilt trip. Like a little brother, I get it. It's fine.
Yeah, Mark is a family man. I am a family. I call myself a man too. Jason doesn't care about his family, so we just.
I love my family. I will plan on visiting them soon. I just don't. I don't want my 71-year-old father. Happy birthday! My father's birthday was yesterday. I don't want my 71-year-old father to get sick. That's being a family man. At least I do my homework.
Oh, I knew Jason was coming with it. Don't worry, I will have mine next week. I don't think anything's going on next week.
There's no parties tonight after this.
No more parties. That's it. I think college town's done.
Florida will actually beat Georgia this year. That's one of my picks. I think Florida loses to Tennessee, and I think they lose to LSU. I think Georgia will be a disappointment this year. I think Georgia is going to take a step back. I'm not saying they're going to have a losing season, but I think they will step back to at least 3 or 4 losses.
This means you're predicting Tennessee to go 10-2.
I think Tennessee does go 10-2. I think Tennessee loses to. Hold on, now you're going to make me pull out my predictions here. Thank you. Don't think I don't have the SEC predictor here. I have them losing to Alabama, and I have them losing to Oklahoma. They play Oklahoma on the road, so I have them losing 1 SEC game to Alabama.
My bold takes are going to be FSU related 100% fully. Since our FSU, this is a FSU show, I guarantee you, and I promise you to those listeners and those people watching, you're going to want to be here next week. All 100% FSU related, unlike Jason.
It was also an FSU show, the half an hour you missed this week.
I know.
Marcus here was certainly impressed with the show.
Marcus.
Jesus, Mark. WTF is a clown show.
It is a clown show.
Let's look. Now look at the freaking profile picture. He shouldn't even have it. Never mind.
Well, he's got a state of Florida flag, which people don't know that the red X in Florida is representing what the Confederate flag used to be.
Oh,
you also see the Florida flag. That changed quickly. The Gator was also holding a different flag.
I do here.
You thank God. Got to read all the super chats.
I have my
Jason definitely does drugs.
I have my nighttime pill. I take one of those at night. And I have my 1 in the morning right here. I have my 1 in the morning. Yeah, I do.
Logan, you're going to be impressed with this. Unfortunately, I can't take it to the screen anymore because if it gets to a certain point, I can't take it to the screen. But Redbeard with a big $25 tonight.
That's nuts. Redbeard is a great guy. He's been supportive for a little while now, and he's awesome. That is huge. And as an FSU guy too, that's the thing that we finally got a huge donut from a Florida State fan. So shout out to Redbeard, man. That is freaking awesome.
And for the 76 people that are currently watching and for the thousands that will eventually watch the record, if you can help us out with a sponsor, meaning if you've got a business that you would like to sponsor here or you've got a connection of somebody that could be a sponsor for us, then I can actually pay these guys and we would get better analysis out of them. Or Logan can do much better, but Jason might actually step it up.
Probably. I may.
Do a little homework.
I may. Yes.
You know what I'm talking about.
No. I know.
It's turned to where.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Maybe, just for the record, since we're going to blow up spots here, Mark asks every week, "Hey Jason, you're the king of Florida State football. You know all that is garnet and gold. What should we talk about this week?" So when Mark tries to act like he knows what we're talking about, the real host is the guy with the goatee from the 954. That's who the host of this show is right here. It should be.
And that question does come out of my mouth, but there's a reason. The reason is because Jason's the first one that comes on, and I just say, "What are we talking about this week, Jason?" If it was Logan, I would say, "Logan, what are we talking about this week?"
But Logan doesn't know that the show starts at 7. He thinks it starts at like 7:30, 7:35.
First time I came in this really late, really ever. And also FSU FBBB fan said gingers don't have souls.
No, we don't.
Nice.
We don't have souls. Logan might actually get a date from somebody who doesn't.
There's a fresh date right there.
Fresh 3542. Hit my DMs. Let's see what's popping. And I really I regret saying that. Let's see what it is before. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what you are, because that person also said like that to Mark Mark, I believe.
Yeah, the blank avatar with no picture.
That's always scary.
Logan just set himself up for a problem here. Raise your hand.
Oh.
I'm in trouble now.
By the way, we're now in the overtime portion here. For the second straight week, we've gone into overtime here with MarkRogersTV.
Yeah, we're going to have to charge extra for that.
Long live Spain. No. Okay. I know that you all of you who went to public school in Florida, they taught Florida history in the 4th grade.
I don't know.
Logan, your self-esteem's not going to get quite the hit after you see that one.
Whoa. Jason is sexy. You know, it's been a while since I was called sexy, but I'm going to take it. You know what? Fresh 3542. male, female, whatever, thank you. I appreciate you boosting my confidence, boosting my self-esteem. I really do appreciate it. Don't hit my DMs. You can go hit Logan's. That's fine. I want to be friends. I like you. I love you. I'm not in love with you.
Okay.
Whoa, hey. Now, here's Marcus's opinion of your hot takes.
That's fine. Tennessee, this is that one year. I don't think they're going to do like LSU. I don't think – let me just say for the record, I don't think Tennessee wins the SEC. I don't think they play in the playoff. I don't think they play for the national title. I just think that this is the one year where I think they can finally beat Florida in the game in Tennessee. I think that helps them. And I think that Georgia takes a step back. And I think that this is Tennessee's one chance. If they don't do it this year, it's back to years of suffering, the Derek Dooley years.
Yeah.
I did. What do you think wins? I gave you the prediction. Listen, thank you for watching. Shankopotamus.
Oh, man.
FSU.
Thank you, Herman, for coming in here and hanging out with us. Appreciate everybody still chilling with us after all these weeks. Or if you're new, definitely welcome. I think we might have some new Discord people coming in, but we do this every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Definitely appreciate everybody talking to us.
Next Tuesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time, we get Logan's hot takes. Yeah. And we also may have a controversy concerning Jason's 58 for 58 streak.
Wait,
I will have further explanation of that next week.
What the hell have I been doing every Tuesday night?
There could be a reason to which he's going to be thinking about this all. He's not going to be able to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm not.
Logan, you could possibly figure it out if you really thought about it.
I might. Actually, you know what? Actually, I do. I think I already know the answer, but I can't wait to hear it on Tuesday because I pretty much already know, kind of.
Are you counting one of these BS shows you did with this guy by himself?
No. Oh, no. Don't start that up. That'll create another discussion.
Oh, boy.
No, start an
Marcus wants all this smoke.
Marcus wants to call in.
I'm trying to figure out why he's not a Gator. I'm trying to figure out what's
we do have a legitimate question coming in for Logan. Raymond, who is a tremendous supporter of the show, would like to get any recruiting tips, any targets out there. What can we expect?
He's awesome.
Possibly.
Yeah, Barry's awesome. I appreciate you always coming in here and hanging out. I think he's one also that tweets us, if I'm correct, after every show. Maybe. Okay, yeah. But right now, a hint to who it will be tomorrow, as it should have been Monday, and we were expecting it to be today. The commit is talking to the staff. He actually had a Zoom call with Coach Storms and an academic advisor just about an hour and a half ago. But it seems like right now, confirmed, he's going to plan on committing tomorrow afternoon, and it's going to be a skill position on the offensive side. That will be probably my only hint because I don't want to ruin his day, but he'll be on the offensive side, and he is a skilled guy. So, yeah, I think that'll be pretty good.
Are there any other, recent releases of top 5 lists, top 10 lists, any targets that are interesting that you think might decide soon?
There was one earlier while we were on here, but I'm not always the best. I'm not in the know of all the recruiting stuff all the time, but I only kind of keep it. Kenyatta Jackson Jr. He's a 2022 weak side defensive end. He's got all the big cats in there: Ohio State, Florida State, Auburn, Clemson, Miami, Oregon, Penn State, Florida, North Carolina, Georgia Tech, Nebraska, and Oklahoma. So that's kind of like the latest one so far. There's still supposedly a silent commit out there too. So, and I think it's a big time silent commit from what we've heard. It was from a coach on staff of a position group that told us that there's one on the way. It's just it's silent right now. So
we'll allow
there's some good stuff on
the super chat here. We'll allow Jason obviously to repeat his record projection on Florida State. There we go, 8-4 overall, 6-2 in the ACC, with losses to Boise State and Florida outside the conference, and the losses in conference to
Clemson and Louisville.
Okay.
And I do. I think 8-4 is and it is objective. Trust me, the biased FSU grad in me wanted us to beat Florida. I think Florida will beat us. I know it sucks. I hate saying it. It's only the second time I've ever picked a rival to beat us between Miami and Florida. I thought Miami would beat us in 2010, and we beat them 45-17. So maybe I'll be wrong again. Who knows? But I do legitimately think that 8 wins are feasible. I think Louisville will be the disappointing game because I think we probably have more talent than Louisville, but I think the circumstances lie to where that's the game we are going to Florida State, if you will.
In addition to our Florida State predictions, 1 week prior to the season, we should unveil our ACC predictions as well, all 3 of us.
Oh, I'll do mine right now. Clemson plays Clemson, North Carolina in April.
Not allowed. You got to save content.
Oh, yes.
You got to save content. You got to always.
I can one up you.
We want a prediction show.
I can one up you. I've got the entire season predicted. I've predicted every game. That's right. This is what happens when you work from home and you have a lot of free time on your hands. I have every game predicted. I'll give you the playoffs. I'll give you bowl games.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Hang on. Whoa.
But we got time. We got
still June.
Got this.
Yep.
Where will Ohio State falter? I'm just trying to get your attention, Mark. See if we can.
I got it. Sure.
Scott Davis agrees with me with our conversation tonight about whatnot. I'm a little worried about what his picture is, but that's fine. Thank you, Scott Davis. Thank you for agreeing with me. Everyone should agree with me more.
And I forgot. Sorry.
Oh, you got that free? Did he give that when he cleared out his desk? Did he throw it at people? His way out the door when he left? Did he abandon the team? They abandoned like a father abandoning his child.
Wow.
Oh boy, Jason!
That's what he did to you.
I haven't ripped down a statue yet. I think I might rip down the one of Dabo, Frank Howard. I'm sure he probably said some racist things during his time. I don't want to. I'm just guessing there. Congratulations on naming your hall after John Calhoun, who was a slave owner. Good job up there in Clemson. We appreciate that one. Marcus, maybe 39. That's probably your high school team, if you're counting preseason games and whatnot. I'm trying to figure out what is on Albert's head. I see we've got the flag of Florida. Does he have a top hat on? What is that?
Yeah, it's like a country hat.
Oh, it's a country hat. Sorry. Those of us down here with civilization, we don't see that. What's happening?
So, NBA fan, are you talking about our little exclusive live stream that we're doing Thursday night with the fans coming on? You're welcome. So reserve your spot. Just let us know that you're interested. Doing an exclusive live stream Thursday night. Select a number of seats available. You can come on, talk college football with me. Just like you see Jason here, you see Logan, you see James. It could be you. You come on here. We'll talk college football. Logan. So let me know if you're interested. We've got something in the range of 8 or 9 signed up at this point.
Logan, this is the first.
Yeah, we need some Knowles in there.
Logan, fresh. Just DM him. Do it. All right, at Logan Twitty. All right.
Throw that to Jason. Jason wants a little bit of something before he goes to bed.
Nothing for me, and I'm okay with that.
Luckily, Logan doesn't know my Twitter account right now, so that's fine. But right now, at Logan Twitty, we'll find out next week on this episode of The Bachelor.
Marcus, you have not earned your stripes to be able to call in yet.
Tell you what, Marcus.
I don't know if we want to hear what he has to say.
Here's what we will do with Marcus. Marcus, I am making a promise right here. I, Jason Parker, the second voice of college football, promise that you, on our September 1st show, my birthday, you can call in, and you and I can have a spirited discussion, and I can tell you why you have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
Okay, wait a minute, Jason. What channel do you run to be able to make this decision?
I am the co-host of Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. You didn't get that email yet. Just check your email.
No. See, there are suggestions that can be made about when we do call-in shows, but there is only one person who approves those suggestions.
I suggest that on September.
I love you guys. You guys do an amazing job. You guys have made this all possible. You guys are the best. But
I suggest that on September 1st. On September 1st, Marcus gets to call it. That'll be my birthday gift to you all, because I know you guys aren't going to get me anything. I still love you guys, but that will be my gift to you. I do have my own channel. It's co-hosting, Mark Rogers TV. Marcus, we don't even know what your icon is. at this moment? We don't know. Tell us what's on Albert's head.
I don't even have. I only have 2% battery left. So then, Mark, you might be left with Jason, and I understand if that's something you want to do. I don't know. But yeah, I got 2% battery. I don't even know if I'm lagging. Everybody else is lagging. For me, my phone's my laptop's about to fry off.
Go eat. We will see you next week.
Yes,
I will. I want to throw in here real quick too. We did release a interview on Hear the Spear. If you like listening to podcasts, we had DeMarcus Walker on last night. And he was all raw content. He even said the F words. So if you're kind of into cussing or anything and DeMarcus Walker, then you're really going to like the episode. He talked about Miami, and that's when the F word came out, which is totally fine. Me and him have the kind of same ideas about Miami and Florida. So he talks about the block at the Rock, also his big game against Ole Miss. Also, he talked about the NFL and what he's hearing on whenever they're going to get back into action. He actually gave some dates to us. And then he talks about Willie Taggart, talks about the discipline that wasn't there. And he said that was pretty obvious, and that's what screwed a lot of things up. And then he talks about Mike Norvell and a lot about Jeremy Pruitt. He wished Jeremy Pruitt was going to be the next head coach at Florida State instead of Willie Taggart. He actually talked to Stan Wilcox.
He played under Taggart, right? DeMarcus?
Mm-hmm.
He did?
No, under Willie Taggart? No, he was done after 2016, right? Yeah. I think
Walker, I got you.
We'll talk about it next week.
All right, guys, I appreciate it. Joking aside, you guys make this happen, so thank you so much.
Yes. Appreciate you guys. See you guys next week.